Good morning, everyone. This is Kosala, also known as Marventus, and it's a Saturday morning. It's a beautiful day, and I've got a little bit of a cold. However, we will persevere on. It is Diablo time. It's been a little bit of a while since I put anything Diablo-esque out there. Good reason for this is that Fraps has stopped working as far as desktop recording is concerned. That's absolute shit. And I had to find an alternative. I have indeed now found an alternative, so we're going to give it a roll. Today we are talking about the Sorceress, and exciting stuff as of this video onwards. The channel is now rebranded slightly, called Marv TV. I hope you enjoyed the new starting titling and the video work that will follow throughout the movie and in future movies. Trying to shape up the quality standards really is what it's all about. And Sorceress, let's start as always with the concept art. Here we've got ourselves an early concept art for the Sorceress, looking quite snazzy. Lots of bells and whistles and baubles on this one, as you can see, up to the usual excellent standards of Blizzard's concept artwork. Although that orb looks nothing like what the orb looks like in the game, as you may have noticed if you have followed onwards from previous screenshots. Here we have the male sorcerer. He looks again rather old schoolish, got a bit of an Asian thing going, a slightly Chinese vibe to it. Actually, come to think of it, I've never seen any screenshots of the male sorceress. I've no idea what it looks like in game. I guess we'll have to wait and find out. And here in the third and final concept artwork, we've got a sorceress that's starting to look slightly more like, whoa, pause, I say, pause. Slightly more like the sorceress from the game, and again, there's been a slight alteration, as you can see from the original screenshot work. We've got totally new design work happening. The body structure looks different. The armor looks different. In fact, I like this version a lot better, and this is actually the version that finally made it into the game, as you can imagine. So let's take a look at what's new in the Sorcerer's world. As you may have noticed from the changes lately, announced at Gamescom and before, and Blizzard's own convention, there have been slight changes. If you've been following along on the previous class guides that I've looked at here or done here, you will notice that there have been abilities in tiers. The tiers are gone. That's just the way it is. We've always known there's been no mana. It's arcane power instead, and yeah, as I said, no tiers. The lore, weirdly sketchy, really, at best. There is some crap on the site about sorcerers being from a rebellious youth and having some training and yada yada. Really quite poor stuff. I'm hoping that the game is going to actually reveal more in-depth lore about the classes, because let's face it, action RPG or not, right, without lore, it's going to be a little unbalanced, so hopefully there'll be plenty of lore to discover in the game itself. Let's see what kind of skills we've got. Frost Nova. Explosion of ice freezes nearby enemies for X seconds. Pretty staple one there, expected right from the beginning. Magic Missile fires a missile of energy. Magic Missile in every single RPG game that involves a sorcerer. Pretty basic there as well. And then we have the Ice Armor, which surrounds the wizard in a barrier of ice and increases armor by a percentage. You can only have one armor on you at any given time. We will encounter other armor types as we move along as well. I would imagine that the ice armor spell is going to be pretty much a staple, because it also freezes attackers and causes them damage while also protecting you. Nothing wrong with that. Then there's this cryptic one called Shock Pulse, which I can't seem to find any information about at all. No screenies, no videos, nothing at all. Shock Pulse, no clue what the hell that is. It's a secret. Wave of Force summons a wave of pure force that deals physical damage and knocks enemies back. Now, if you guys have been playing Diablo since the beginning, as I have, you'll know that this is not a one mob at a time sort of game. They come at you thick and fast, and the sorcerers do not have a lot of armor. It is highly beneficial to be able to knock enemies back. I can imagine that Wave of Force is going to be an absolute staple for the sorcerer classes. Spectral Blade summons a blade in front of the wizard and does physical damage. That can't hurt at all. Pummel Wave of Force, follow up with Spectral Blade, nuke, 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 deaded. Now, if you played Sorcerers in previous Diablo games, you'll know that it's actually a pretty easy class to play. Now, I myself am not planning on playing the Sorceress in Diablo 3 anytime soon. I did enjoy it, to be honest, in Diablo 1 and in Diablo 2, but it's just way too easy to play magic user classes. They just nuke everything in sight in no time at all. Electrocute. Lightning arcs from the wizard's fingertips towards an enemy, dealing lightning damage. This one, and as with most other spells, can be modified with I've forgotten exactly what you use to modify spells now, but there is a nice modification concept for spells, which I will cover in a future video, that allows you to have these things behave slightly differently. I can imagine that the run-of-the-mill electrocute is going to be rather boring. Magic weapon imbues the wizard's weapon with magical energy, granting increased damage. Never anything wrong with that. Now, if you recall from previous Diablo games, the ranged classes can also do quite a bit of melee. So the sorcerer classes can still walk in and start nuking people with their staff, which is where this starts to become interesting. I don't imagine that there are going to be a lot of people running around the place trying to do this unless they're really low on arcane power. But it is a way forward. Arcane Orb conjures an orb of pure energy that explodes on contact. Now, this one we've seen in the videos plenty of times. This is the orb that goes flying off from the mage's hand. The original video that was done for the mage class featured this in spades. Diamond Skin turns the wizard's skin to diamond for X seconds. Absolutely blatantly ripped off from the X-Men movie. Although I am rather looking forward to seeing what this is going to look like. Is it going to coat the entire sorcerer's body in diamond skin? Is it going to be partial? Is the face going to be coated? This is going to be a weird visual. We'll have to wait and see what it looks like. Energy Twister. Summon an energy twister that deals arcane DPS. So basically a tornado. That should make for some interesting visuals as well. Disintegrate. Emanate a beam of pure energy dealing arcane damage per second and disintegrating enemies. Now there is a video for this, and it looks absolutely extraordinarily cool. I'm sure you guys have seen it on the site itself. It's just an absolutely bitchin' video. If you haven't seen it, definitely go and take a look at it. It is a nice thing to see. Great big bolt of red coming out of the person's or the sorcerer's hand. Wipes out everything in its path. Lovely stuff. Storm Armor, once again an armor spell. Remember, you can only have one of these active at any given time. Explosive Blast builds up energy around the wizard, explodes after X seconds. Ooh, a bomb. Can't go wrong with bombs now, can we? Let's move on and see what else we got here. And we got the last bit now. We have Blizzard calling down shards of ice around an area. Fairly standard, directly off World of Warcraft. You know what it's like. It's stuff pelting down, AoE damage. What can you expect? Again, wonderful in a game like Diablo where you have large amounts of mobs to deal with at any given time. There is a familiar spell that creates a companion that fights beside the wizard. Now, the interesting thing here is the familiar cannot be targeted or damaged. Now, I'm confused by that. So out pops a familiar, and he's going to sit there and pelt away at your enemies, and you can't kill it. That's going to make for interesting times. I would imagine that the familiar is going to die when the sorceress dies. So anything attacking the sorcerer should completely ignore the familiar and just pelt away at the sorcerer and hope that that's the end of it. But it's going to be interesting to see how that looks. I've seen no information about that either. And then once again we come to this massively cryptic spell called the Archon. Now I have no idea whether this means you're going to summon an Archon or whether you're going to turn into an Archon or what that might be. Instinctively I'm going to say you probably summons the Archon. What would be massively cooler, however, is if it actually turned you into an Archon. That would be a sight to see. This requires being very high level in order to reach the spell. I am looking forward to seeing how this works in practice, however. And with some luck, there will be an access to the Diablo beta sometime soon, where I'll be hopefully covering some interesting visuals and news and things of this nature. I'm really looking forward to it. Archon. Let's hope that it is a self-transmogrifying spell. That would be too cool. Now, just to wind up here, as you astute Diablo enthusiasts will know, active skills are not the only skills you have. You also have passive skills, and as I did in previous videos, I've not covered the passive skills, because they're basically pretty boring. There's stuff like increased damage, increased defense, increased mana regeneration, stuff of that nature. Passive skills are incredibly useful, but not terribly interesting to cover in videos like this. Now that I have my computer back and running in the proper fashion and my internet connection back in order, I will endeavor to pull out these Diablo videos slightly more often as well. Comment below on your views of what you'd like to see, and until next time, I bid you a very pleasant weekend. Ta-ta.